Right guys and girls, last time I was here at Halliwell Jones Motorcycles in Chester, I took out their brand spanking new R1300 GS Tramontana edition. So I wanted to come back and revisit it and maybe take out one of the bikes with the adaptive vehicle height control. Well, I'm out of luck because they do have one in on demo, but it is with a workshop customer at the moment. So I said I still want to get on a 1300, what have you got for me? He said we got a trophy, but she's a little bit taller than the one you last rode by 20 mil, 870 mil. So I said, you know what, I'll hop around. So if you want to see how I get on, keep watching. Right, so before we jump straight into me riding this bike and negotiating worldly situations with my little stumpy legs, I'll show you guys what it's like for me to sit on this bike. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with my channel, I am a 5'4" individual with a 29-inch inside leg measurement. This bike, as mentioned in the intro, has a seat height of 870 mil. So that's 20 mil taller than the normal GS as a standard height. I wanted to ride the adaptive vehicle ride height one because that takes it down to the point where I'm sitting on them in the showroom and I have a flat foot on one side. That's unheard of. It basically is like a seat height reduced or a chassis lowered GS 1250 in terms of height. Much more manageable for me, but I'm glutton for punishment, so let's kick off. It's a little bit big. Now, one of the issues that I have is because this bike shares the same chassis with the one with the suspension that goes down when you stop, it means that the side stand has to lean over a lot more on the normal height one, because if it was shorter and then the adaptive vehicle ride height was applied to the bike, when you put the side stand down on the lower one, it would literally sit vertical and would have, you could just push it with a finger and it would literally fall on the other side. So it needs to be more sloped, which doesn't help me when I'm trying to heave this behemoth off the stand. So we'll give it a go. Okay, so this is what it's like. So I've got a flat foot down now, but I also have half a bum cheek completely off the seat. We can do this. We got this. So it just means that when you stop in, if you are short like me, you just have to be very, very confident and affirmative in your actions. Don't second guess yourself. If you're stopping, you're stopping. If you're stopping on this side, you're stopping. No dilly-dallying, okay? You just got to be confident in your actions. So yeah, I'll stop nattering, we'll get on it, ride, put it into practice on the road, and also just refresh myself as to what this bike's about, how it rides, and just have a good natter to you guys on the way. Starting off with leg cramp because I'm stretched. Joys. Right. Let's go. We'll go the way that doesn't require me doing a frickin' U-turn. Okay, bit of off-road in there, it's all good. See, small people problems require small people solutions, okay? Rather than turning so sharp, I'm on an adventure bike, an off-road bike. We'll do some curb hopping. Right everyone, I'd like to just start this ride by saying that just because you can ride something tall doesn't mean you should. So admittedly my GS, which is an R1300 GS, which is a full height one, 850mm seat, I am pretty much at my known limits there of seat height. But today, you know, I'm just challenging myself to ride something a little bit taller. Now, am I saying that I would own a bike this tall? Personally, hell no. But what I am saying is that I can ride it if I have to ride it, if I choose to ride it. I'm not limiting myself. My mind is not capping myself at an 850mm seat. I've just got to be smarter in my riding. But it does take a lot more mental focus when you do ride something so inappropriately tall. Now, if you're one of them people that kicked off on the last R1300 GS video, I'm pretty sure I had a comment that was like, "Oh girly, that bike's too tall for you," and then it proceeded to have about 30 comments as a chain. Then just save yourself the stress, the heartache, the worry of watching me hobble around on a bike that's 20mm taller than that one, okay? You know, I don't want to be responsible for putting you in hospital through stress and worry and concern. But just so you know, I am a sentient being with a human adult brain, and I can make dumb decisions if I want to. But no, I think sometimes just doing videos like this can sometimes inspire people that are over limiting themselves when it comes to seat height. Now, I'm not saying that somebody my height should go out and confidently buy a GS trophy with a 870mm seat height. In fact, you may well have more confidence in me and that might not be an issue for you. Say you're Jocelyn Snow, for example. So it's like now, coming up to having to stop, I'm even looking at where the road peaks and where it drops to accommodate me stopping. We got this, we got this. Yeah, so what I'm trying to say is, if you are quite short in the leg and you're like me, you've got an angle of the dangle on each side, I'm not saying confidently go out there and buy yourself a 870mm bike. Like, there are ways to make your life easy. But, and I personally wouldn't choose to own a bike this tall as my daily, because it's just not practical for me. I mean, I can do it if push comes to shove, and if I need to review a bike, it's not going to stop me. And it's nice to occasionally get on one of these and challenge myself and push myself, but would I want to put myself through that every day as a daily ride? Absolutely not, of course not. But I do feel like when it comes to riding motorcycles, there are a lot of people, shorter people, particularly girls. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't short men, of course there are, but I definitely feel, being a female, that we do put ourselves in boxes of what we can and can't ride, and it's just going off our experiences and what we've seen growing up. So for me, for example, before I started working in a dealership and I was forced to move bikes around and push them about, I never on this earth thought I'd be able to ride a GS, never mind own one and be a happy owner of one, because I saw my dad riding GS's and GS Adventures, and in my head mentally, that was a dad bike. That's a dad bike, that's only for dads, big scary units. That's not for me, little weed. Like, I can't have a dad bike. And then working in a dealership, it made me realise I'm the daddy. I can have a dad bike. Let's see. Oh, screen up, buffeting. Screen down, no buffeting. We'll stick with that. But yeah, when you realise that you are the daddy, things change. You don't let those self-applied limitations apply to you anymore. You're the master of your own destiny. And working in a dealership and having to push big bikes around in the morning, you know, I was an early bird. I wanted to go in, I wanted to, you know, start working. I was commission based, I was keen, I was driven. I'd be there first, so I'd have to put all the demos out in the morning, and you best believe that there was you know, maybe a K1600 bagger, a normal K1600, an R1250 RT that I had to move out on my own, you just get this, you know, I can do it, and then you can do it. So again, disclaimer, I'm not saying go out and buy yourself an inappropriately tall bike if you don't have the experience, if you don't have the confidence, but also I guess if you don't have to. Like, I mean, I could get this and then I could get myself a low seat for it, which would make it much more manageable. Or I could consider the adaptive vehicle ride height one, which again would be a more sensible option. But what I'm saying is, don't let your mind limit you, and you can do it. Right. Oh! Whoa, okay, it's got acceleration. Acceleration nation, go on. So yeah, back on the R1300 GS. We've got it in dynamic mode. Oh, it's nice to be back on it. So one thing that I haven't noticed when I've been riding, which I noticed on the Tramontana, was the sound of the engine. I found it particularly loud, and you can even hear it from on my video. Getting onto the sound of it, so I really struggled with the Tramontana sound. It was so obnoxiously loud, just the engine noise, and I didn't particularly like it. I'm not noticing that same sound on this bike, which is interesting, but I've just checked the odometer and it's had its first service, so I do wonder if that has anything to play in the sound of the engine. Like, this one's not unbearable, so that's interesting. So there is hope if you do get this bike. Maybe if they're not running, the engine's a bit crazy. Let's go, Eskimo Momo. Okay, smooth, beautiful acceleration. I do feel that when you let off the throttle, it is a bit choppy in dynamic mode. More choppy than I noticed on the 1200 and the 1250. So guys and girls, if you want to know about the stats and the figures and the prices and the colour options of this bike, please do refer back to my first R1300 GS video. There is all the boring static spec reel off stuff that you could shake a stick at, fill your boots with all that, but this is just a video, one, talking about riding bikes that are obnoxiously tall for you, and two, just being reacquainted with the 1300 and updating my views. Oh man, that's got spice to it. Ooh. Sounds alright, doesn't it? This one just has a standard cam, and to be honest, I know BMW probably won't want me to say this, but as pretty as the Akrapovic looks on this bike, does it offer much in terms of better sound? I don't really think it does. Oh, yes. This is definitely a more sporty feeling GS. Definitely feels more agile, it's got great brakes. Yeah, that was good. So you know, after riding the Tramontana, I was in two minds as to whether I preferred the 1300 to the 1250. I thought, one, the stand is not accommodating for little legs. If I was to get a full height one, that turned me off a bit. Two, the engine noise was so obnoxiously loud that I thought, can I even live with this? Because I was very much aware of it, of the sound. I was so aware of it. But this one, it is not loud at all by comparison. So that leads me to believe that it really does quieten down with the first service. Now, My issue would be solved about the stand if I got an adaptive seat height, which would be, or an adaptive vehicle ride height, which would be more wise for me given my leg length situation. So I was trying to think, if I owned a 1250 GS, would I swap it for the 1300? And after the initial early ride in the wet conditions and all that jazz, my initial thoughts were no. But I didn't want to relay that to you guys because I don't want to have an influence on you guys when I've literally just spent the least amount of time on a bike, you know? Like, I didn't want to be responsible for influencing decisions like that after just a little tiny ride. Well, actually, riding this, I'm convinced that I actually would. I would swap a 1250 for this bike. Okay, so we're doing 60, 4th gear. Yeah, it's got power. She's got some power, hey, she's got some power, hey. First exit. Woohoo! Okay, yep, they can get there fast. The sports brake is epic. Lots of power. And we're over. Get in. So I've actually got some pretty cool news. So username Dad, we went to Halliwell Jones the other day, and lo and behold, he's walked out putting a deposit down on a new 1300 GS. What a guy! Come on, username Dad. So yeah, username Dad has come away putting a dipper down on a brand new R1300 GS triple black. So what I think is so cool about my dad is he literally just said, right Kate, you know what I like, spec one up for me. I said, no worries Dad, I got you. We'll go this way, was it that way? If anybody knows my dad, it's me, right? So he said, Kate, spec up a bike that I'd want to ride, and that's the one I'll get. That is ultimate trust in your daughter, that, isn't it? I could end up giving him a right pig. I could spec him up a right Billy Bog standard, couldn't I? But no, I've gone triple black. He was umming and ahhing about the, you know, alloys or whether he wanted spokes, but he's gone for black spokes. I have put on there riding assistant, not because he needs an assistant to help him ride, but just because working in a dealership in the past, I know how it works. So my dad's buying one on finance, and for the amount extra it will add for the riding assistant, it's going to make it more desirable when he comes to part exchange it with the dealership. And that's the truth of the matter. Like, one of my colleagues back in the day had a customer, and he and his mate wanted matching Billy Bog standard GS adventures. No fancy suspension, not even keyless ride. No heated grips, no nothing. And we said to them, like, are you sure you want to do this? Because when it comes to part exchanging, you might end up having to sell them privately, because dealers don't want to be sitting on stock that they've taken in part exchange that nobody wants. I say nobody wants it like that, obviously that's not true, because the customer that came in wanting those specs obviously wanted it like that, but it's very rare that there'll be anybody other than him that wants it like that. I'm not saying impossible, but people just want decent spec bikes. So that's why I've advised the riding assistant. Plus it'll be nice for him to experience the radar cruise control, because he hasn't experienced it before. Oh, do you know what? I'm actually getting pretty comfortable and confident on a bike of this height. I'm not feeling bad, I'm feeling good. But yeah, realistically, I think he's looking at a God he wishes, a May delivery slot. So he's got to wait patiently for now. But he's quite happy to do that. Oh, I'm loving this GS now. I'm loving it. Honestly, I was a bit nervous to get back on it because I thought, it's a new bike, I'm supposed to prefer it, but I just don't know if I do. I don't think I do. I think I'd prefer a 1250. But honestly, getting on this bike, it's changed my mind. Oh. Oh, yes. To me, it doesn't need an Acura. The standard cam sounds great. So great. You know what? This ride home has really reaffirmed to me that, you know what? You can do it, girl. You're riding this bike, you're stopping when you need to, you're not panicking, you're just dealing with it. Yeah, I've just reaffirmed to myself that I got this. Touch wood. So the quick shifter and auto blipper on this, I'm still undecided if it's any better, because sometimes it works like magic and other times it's a bit delayed or a bit lungy or a bit surgy, a bit crunchy. So I can't sing the quick shifter and blippers praises like I thought I would be able to. Don't get me wrong, it's better than it not having it, for sure. But it's not perfect yet. Oh, it definitely feels more torquey, for sure. And I know we are working with a bit more torque. But it feels more like a hooligan bike now. It feels more playful. It feels more KTM-esque. And I like it. So yeah, I'm so glad I got a second chance to ride this bike, even if I know that lots of angry people on the internet will tell me off for riding a bike that's too big for me. But you know what? I'm making it work. It's not ideal or perfect, but it's doable. I have no idea where I am, but it's all good. We're just vibing. We're just vibing on the GS. Not a care in the world, not knowing where I am. It's all good. It doesn't matter. I've got my heat grips on, I'm comfy. The seat is so plush. The suspension is a dream. It's just been lapping up potholes I found myself charging through today. Oh, I just... riding this bike, I see why Dad wants one now. I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it when I rode the Tramontana. I thought, surely it's not that good to warrant the change from your 1250, Dad. And now I'm on this that's riding so much quieter. Oh man, I understand. In fact, I want one now. I really... oh shit, I've gone the wrong way. Oh, no! This is bad. I took the wrong motorway. I should have been on that one. I've got on this one. Uh-oh.
Well, guys and girls, I ended up getting extremely lost, riding an hour out of my way because I'm an absolute dumbass, and ended up filtering on the motorway in extreme rush hour traffic. But I really enjoyed the R1300 GS. It surprised me how well I managed to ride back with it being so tall and in such crazy rush hour traffic with all the filtering, but I managed just fine. And I got home and felt satisfied that I'd taken on the challenge of riding the Shire horse. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this vlog, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Peace out.